So, Calvin, thank you. I think we can go ahead and start now. So, welcome to another job mentorship and matching session. My name is Hope Nduta, and this is a session by Cyber Shuja. So, I know we have participants who are Cyber Shuja students, karibuni sana. We also have people either starting off in the field or professionals, also feel very much welcome. We hold this session every Thursday from 7 to 8 p.m. And the goal is for you to interact with people in the field, get a feel of what the market is looking for, and also understand if a specific role you've been eyeing fits you. Yeah. So I'll go ahead and introduce our topic. So we'll be talking about fraud and risk analysis. Fraud is a big thing in the country as of now, even globally, because it's an issue, especially with a lot of things going into mobile banking in different areas. So I'm not an expert on that. I'll let our speaker speak on the kind of value as cybersecurity practitioners we would add into the field of fraud and risk. So, with that said, I'll introduce our speaker tonight and then give it over to her. So, with us tonight is Beatrice Joy Ngumo. She is a fraud. She's a fraud and forensic analyst. Sorry, that pause was not supposed to be there. So she's a fraud and forensic analyst for M-Kopa. She has experience in data analysis and visualization with Excel, Looker, Power BI, SQL, and PowerPoint. She has 2 experience in fraud, where she has gained desktop and field investigation skills. Uh, Beyond that, she's conducted digital forensic imaging and analysis. Um, she also says FTK Imager is currently her favorite tool, hoping to get to use Talino because of the speeds. So she's currently also working Bug Bounty and looking for different ways to grow personally and also add value into the field. She is also, I have to add, she's also a cybersecurity, she's also a, what do you call them? She's also an alumni of Cyber Shuja. So we are very proud to have you on, Joy. Feel very welcome. Karibu. Joy, I was assuming, are you on the call? Joy, I saw her on the call a minute ago. Let me just confirm. Just a minute. Okay, so she's having a bit of some technical issues with Team. So I will take expectations from you guys just to give her time to join in. So when you think about fraud analysis, what comes to mind for you guys? What do you think about? What is the first word you relate to fraud analysis? So anyone, feel free to raise your hand or unmute. Any ideas? What do you think when we talk about fraud? What kind of words come into mind?
Hi.
Hello,
I'd say
Albert.
I'd say theft.
Theft. Okay, good one. Another word that comes into mind. I feel like it's at the tip of my tongue. When you talk of fraud, what other word comes into mind for you? Money, right? So, yes, James, your mic is on.
Scam, maybe something that came well in a very fishy way.
Yeah, so scams, theft, money. Mm-hmm. True, true. So, with those three, what industries can you associate with fraud? Where do you think fraud would most likely occur?
Banking,
Banking, true.
account departments in organizations, yeah.
Yeah, accounts,
Finally, tender processes.
tender processes, true, true, true. Fintechs. Um, what of M-Pesa? I believe like a lot of us transact with M-Pesa. So also the mobile companies right now. Any other ideas I may have left off? Okay, so let me see if Joy has joined. Huh.
I hope I've joined.
Oh, good. Thank you. I was about to panic. Nasila content.
Okay, hi everyone. Good evening. I hope you're all doing well. So allow me to start by sharing my screen. Hope you can confirm once you can see my screen.
Okay.
So I'll just turn off my video. So hi everyone, my name is Beatrice Joy Ngumo. I am a fraud and forensic analyst currently in M-Kopa. I've been in the position for 3 years. Funny thing, I'm actually an alumni of Cyber Shuja. I think we graduated in 2023 in the cyber security analyst cohort. My qualifications, I currently hold a bachelor's degree in information security and forensic and currently doing my certificate in ethical hacking. So let me just turn off my video to save on the bandwidth. Hope just confirm once you can see my screen.
Sasa.
I hope you can all see my screen.
Yes, we can. So just before you joined, I asked participants when we think of fraud, what words come to mind? And some of the words were theft, scams, money. So just to give you a feel of what the room thinks of fraud and the topic at hand. Yeah.
Oh, actually, fraud revolves around theft. Theft involves a lot of things. It can involve hardware theft. It can involve your identity theft. It can involve your money being stolen. It involves a lot of things. So we'll cover a lot. We'll cover fraud and forensic analysis. Fraud and risk, they are close to each other. So we'll cover everything. In case you have a question, you can just raise up your hand, or you can just pause. You can just shout here and I'll be able to respond to your question. So as I mentioned, I am a fraud and forensic analyst currently in M-Kopa. And let's jump into it. So what is fraud and risk analysis? Let's start with fraud. Who can tell me, or someone can chat, can post on the chat what you think fraud is? But fraud currently, fraud involves deceptive practices intended to secure unfair financial and personal gain. So not only finances, but also financial gain, personal gain. So someone can try to defraud you to ruin your reputation. They can try to defraud you to get some monetary value from you, and etc. So you have risk analysis. Risk analysis identifies, assesses, and mitigates potential risks that could impact financial stability and security. So why is it important, this whole fraud and forensic analysis? So currently, fraud possesses significant threats, not only to individuals, but also to businesses and financial institutions. And effective risk analysis will help in early detection and prevention, which will reduce potential financial and reputational damages. Also, cyber threats are constantly evolving, making proactive fraud detection essential. So what will you gain in this session? So you'll gain insights into different types of fraud and risk factors. You will learn strategies for detecting, preventing, and also mitigating fraud, and also understand forensic analysis and how it aids in fraud investigation. Anyone with a question? Okay, so let's go to slide 2. So let's understand what this fraud is. It's explained it's any intentional act of deception to gain an unfair advantages. We have different types of fraud. So we have financial fraud, we have cyber fraud, we have corporate fraud, we have public sector fraud. But let's dive into the different types of fraud. We can start with financial fraud. We have bank fraud, we have credit card fraud, we have mobile money scams. We have fake investments and Ponzi schemes. So for bank fraud, we have instances whereby you have money in your, everyone I believe right now has a bank account. So you have some money in your bank account. What if you wake up one day and you find that you left your balance at 10,000 Kenya shillings, and now currently you're looking at your bank balance, it's at 10 bob. I believe you'll first sweat. Probably, maybe it depends. It's relative. Maybe it's 10,000 for you. Another person, it's 1 million Kenya shillings. So bank fraud will involve illegal transfer of money from your account without your knowledge. We also have credit card fraud. I believe you've all heard about Yahoo boys. Maybe you can put in the chat what are the names you are currently giving these people who are currently doing money laundering. For me, I usually call them wash people, or Yahoo boys and wash people. So we have credit card fraud, where people are trying to conduct fraud using credit cards. And we also have mobile money scams. The one that is currently booming, we have M-Pesa reversal fraud. However, I believe Safaricom is trying to mitigate this by putting different prevention strategies to prevent this M-Pesa reversal frauds. So M-Pesa reversal fraud will deal with, you're sending money to someone, but you mistakenly, because human is to error, right? So you're sending money to Beatrice. Currently, my name is Beatrice, but my number is 0707. You miss my number with one digit. So money is going to go to the wrong person. When you try to follow up with this person doesn't want to even return your money. And then Safaricom will just tell you just go and report this case to the police station. So it is a type of fraud where by the wrong recipient of the money refuses to refund the money to you. We also have fake investments and Ponzi schemes. For example, we had Ekeza Circle and gold scams. So I can explain who can explain to me the scam that was dealing with Ekeza Circle. we'll use Ekeza Sacco as our case study.
So
Anyone
feel
who
free
wants
to
to try?
unmute. Yeah, feel free to unmute. You could also use the Q&A because the chat isn't working for everyone here.
Okay. Okay, let me just take it. So Ekeza Sacco scam was one of the Kenya's largest financial scandals, which involved fraudulent investment scheme disguised as a legitimate Sacco. It was led by someone called David Ngare, and who promised lucrative returns on investments, particularly in real estate. So how did the scam work? It was targeting ordinary Kenyans who the Sacco attracted thousands of Kenyans, including low-income earners, by promising home ownership and high returns on savings. It also dealt with fake real estate projects. So members were told they could own homes through an investment called Gakuyo Real Estate, and which is a company linked to the Sacco. There was misuse of funds. So instead of using member savings for real estate projects, the owner allegedly diverted over, I believe, it's about 1.5 billion Kenya shillings to his personal accounts and business ventures. The collapse was in 2019, and I remember there was actually a huge crowd of people in this year when they were trying to protest about what really happened and the misuse of funds and being defrauded their funds. So the collapse was in 2019. The scheme fell apart when the government investigated its operations. Members who had millions of shillings were unable to access their money. The consequences was the Commissioner of Cooperatives deregistered the Sacco, Ekeza Sacco, that is, after complaints from members. Court cases were filed, but many victims are yet till date to recover their savings. The owner tried to relaunch the Sacco, and also I remember he tried to run for political office, which sparked a lot of outrage. So what are the lessons we learned from this Ekeza Sacco scam? So one, verify your financial institution. You can verify its legitimacy. You ensure that the financial institution has been registered. Avoid too good to be true offers. If returns seem unrealistic or guaranteed, it's likely a scam. Also check financial transparency. A legitimate financial institution have audited reports available to members. So that's for financial fraud. We also have cyber fraud. Cyber fraud, we have different types of fraud. We have SIM swap fraud, phishing attacks, and hacking. We also have identity theft and account takeovers. For account takeovers, it's currently booming in social media accounts, whereby you're trying to log into a social media account. You're being hit with an error that you can't be able to access your account anymore because someone already, maybe they're using phishing, they were able to hack you and maybe overtake your account. Now you can no longer access your account. We also have corporate fraud. We have embezzlement, payroll fraud, procurement fraud, fake invoicing, and ghost employees. For ghost employees, I remember back then, I don't remember the correct year, but ghost employees was popular in Mombasa County, whereby we had employees who are receiving money, but these employees, you never see them in the office. They never show up. You don't even know what they actually do, but they are receiving payment from the county. So you also lastly have public sector fraud. This is actually a really huge type of fraud. We have corruption. You're going to the police station, you need assistance. You have to toa kitu kidogo, lazima utoe kachai. We have bribery, we have mismanagement of funds. You've seen this public funds being mismanaged. For example, we have the NYS and the cancer scams, and also high profile corruption scandals. All this public sector fraud led to actually the mismanagement of funds led to the Gen Z protests, which were quite popular quite popular last year. So let me pause there. Anyone who is having a question on the different types of fraud, and yeah, I'm happy to answer. Okay, let me go to the next slide. So how can you be able to detect these types of fraud? So we have fraud detection techniques using data analysis and anomaly detection. So you can be able to detect fraud using statistical models and AI to detect suspicious patterns. So for data analysis and anomaly detection, we can monitor mobile transactions, where you are going to use AI to detect anomalies, probably in M-Pesa, in Airtel Money, Tcash, etc., and look for either rapid withdrawals, multiple transfers to new numbers, or even odd transaction amounts. You can also analyze SIM swap patterns, whereby fraudsters often use SIM swap scams to gain access to accounts. Banks and telcos should also monitor for sudden SIM card changes followed by high value transactions. Also, graphic analysis for fraud rings. Use link analysis tools to identify fraudsters working in groups, especially in loan fraud and e-commerce scams. So I think most of us have been able to hear about the mulot hackers, whereby they are trying to defraud a number of people using SIM card swaps. They using loan. They conduct loan frauds. So it's a ring. Of fraudulent people. They were currently located in Mulot. I don't know if they this year have been able to clear out all the people, but that is one of the rings that was quite popular in Kenya. So you also have behavioral analysis. Behavioral analysis involves monitoring employee and customer activities to identify deviations from normal behavior. For example, we have a customer called Beatrice. So Beatrice, we can be able to see Beatrice usually conducts transactions from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. But Beatrice is usually within the Kenyan borders. But all of a sudden, Beatrice is now conducting transactions in Nigeria. So it's going to it's a behavioral analysis. It's going to be an anomaly because we are used to Beatrice being in Kenya, but now she's transacting in Nigeria. So it's going to be flagged as suspicious for investigation. If the investigation clears out that this is just false positive, then we are going to just go ahead and allow the transaction to go through. The other one is identifying red flags, unusual payment methods, rapid account changes, and also falsified information documentation. We have also interviews and investigations. You can conduct interrogations to gather evidence. So here comes for you to be a good investigator, I usually say for you to be able to get information from the suspects or even the victims. You need to be good in social engineering. So you can either play the good cop, bad cop. We can have your partner to get information to understand what really happened. Are you actually the victim? Are you actually the suspect? So you can use all of that and build a report against the suspect which is going to help you in case documentation. Anyone having a question on fraud detection techniques? Okay, so let's go. Let's look into what are the fraud prevention strategies. So you have data-driven fraud detection for banks and fintech. So we have graphic analysis for fraud rings. So fraud rings I've already explained. For example, we had the mulot hackers. So you can be able to look at the graph. You have data. So you store data, you get to understand the different reports are coming from different the different victims. They're all reporting that their money got stolen. And when you look at the IP address, you can see the IP address is actually within a certain locality. For example, let's continue using Mulot. So you're going to see if 1,000 customers have reported of being defrauded. Where are these people? How can we be able, where is the person, where is this fraud originating from? So using the data, you can be able to see where these fraud rings located at. So you can also analyze SIM swap patterns and monitor mobile transaction, whereby I explained you should be able to monitor, look for rapid withdrawals, multiple transfers to new numbers, or even odd transactions. So the other one is real-time monitoring and alerts. So we have automated SMS alerts automated SMS alerts. So banks and mobile wallets should send real-time SMS alerts for suspicious withdrawals, logins, or changes in account details. However, I highly recommend that SMS alerts should be sent for any transaction that you're about to do. So if I'm about to conduct a transaction from my account to maybe pay for Netflix, I should receive a message that this amount has been deducted from your account. So this will allow the customer or the victim, they'll be able to detect early if they have been defrauded and raise that issue to the relevant authorities for them to follow up. Also, geolocation-based transaction monitoring. If a user logs in Nairobi and then attempts a withdrawal from Mombasa in minutes, then the banks or the fintechs or the telcos should flag it as suspicious and start the investigation, or even stop the transactions, call the customer and get to identify why you doing such a transaction. We're seeing you're in Nairobi, but then you're trying to withdraw in Mombasa. Can you please explain what is happening? And if it's fraudulent, you're supposed to stop the transaction and start the investigation. The other one is strong identity verification and authentication. We encourage biometric verification using either you can use your face recognition or even you can use your national ID. This will ensure banks and circles use biometric data for high value transaction. So if I want to transact over 1 million Kenya shillings, I should be requested to either visit the bank to be able to complete the transaction, or either after I key in my PIN, I should also provide my biometric verification. We also have the device fingerprinting for mobile banking. So banks and telcos should flag logins from new devices and request additional verification. So the other one is USSD security enhancement. Since currently many transactions occur using USSD codes, telcos should ensure and enforce PIN resets via biometrics or ID verification. So anyone having a question on the different fraud prevention strategies that we've covered so far? Yes,
There's a
Dennis.
hand from Dennis. Yeah.
Hi, good evening.
Good
This is
evening.
an awesome presentation. Thank you. So the question I have is, when does the trade-off come in? Because any innovation that is coming to the market is to allow easier transfer of funds, more transfer of funds. So how do you trade off between being able to give clients the ease and comfort of being able to transact while at the same time protecting them? So maybe you can assist in answering that. Thank you.
Okay, so for me, I'm willing to make it easy for you to transact. Considering if I make it easy for you to transact, it's going to make. I'm also making it easy for the suspects or the hackers or the fraudsters to defraud you. There are other things that we can be able to do. Automatic. We have like I've indicated, we have data-driven fraud detection or real-time monitoring and alerts. If we can have artificial intelligence that can be able to detect any fraudulent transaction that is happening. We can make it easy, but with the use of AI, we can with the use of AI, it can ensure that we have secure transfers of secure transfers of money from your accounts. I don't know if I've answered your question, Dennis.
So kinda, you've answered it kinda. Say, or maybe I should have put it in a different scenario.
Yeah.
Say for example, you're pitching a product to guys who don't understand risk.
Yes.
And the whole ideation between them funding, say, for example, a project is you meeting specific objectives like how easily, say, client X can pay off seamlessly, maybe by tapping a card, all these new technologies like NFC and the likes.
Yeah.
So with such trade-offs, how do you still meet these objectives? Without having now to also add on to the costs, because most of these things are resource heavy, like doing the AI, the trainings, and all that. Thank you.
Okay, so well, that's a tricky one. So I'll still stand by saying that I can make it easy, but these are the consequences of making it easy for this person to transact. Like not everyone, most people own credit cards, but if you leave your credit card anyhow, you're going to lose it. So maybe we can do some trainings and customer awareness on how you're supposed to take care of your credit cards to prevent it from being used to conduct any types of fraud, or implement the different AI strategies to detect fraud and also prevent the fraud from happening. However, I am down to research more about it and then share with Hope and a more definite answer to that.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. Anyone else? Okay, let me go to the next slide. So the other strategies, we have network and endpoint security. This is for cybersecurity for financial institutions. You can enhance multi-factor authentication, whereby, how many? So we have multi-factor authentication, which will require you to have an OTP or biometrics before transactions. We've seen multi-factor authentication has been highly implemented in government systems. So you're trying to log in into your eCitizen, but an OTP code will be sent to either your email or your phone so that you can be able to access your account. Even most of the banks currently, I am using a cooperative. Before you make a transaction, an OTP code is sent to your mobile number that you used to register, and then now you can complete the transaction. Also, the other one is strict customer data access control. We usually call it zero trust for banking system. So you should restrict access to customer data only to authorized personnel and track all logins. This will highly prevent bank fraud, whereby money was being transferred from your account, maybe by the internal staff without your knowledge. So by restricting the number of people who are accessing customers' data, we are also preventing the high number of fraud cases that were popping up. The other one is fraud intelligence sharing. This is between banks, telcos, and regulators such as CBK and CAK, which should collaborate to blacklist fraudsters across platforms. We've seen this being implemented by Safaricom, where they say, in case you receive these numbers which are trying to defraud you. Most of us have received these numbers from, we call them people from committee, where they're telling you, oh, hi, ma'am, kindly send me 1,000 bob. I need to buy a calculator. You're just there wondering, hey, I'm still in campus. When did I even have a kid? So we are being Safaricom were educating and telling you, once you receive this number, report it to this. Report it here so that they can be able to blacklist fraudsters. And then what we highly advise is, if we can have that intelligence sharing between the different banks and telcos, and have a list of all the fraudsters and block them from actually accessing any customer data, I think we are going to prevent a lot of fraud cases coming up. The other one is fraud awareness and customer education. So we should educate customers on phishing and social engineering scams. Fraudsters often impersonate people, the big people. Let me mention the big fintechs. We have Safaricom, we have M-Kopa, we have banks, we have KRA. They're going to impersonate these authorities. But however, if we educate customers by having public awareness campaigns, we should teach customers to avoid sharing their pins, where we're going to say, unasikia watu wanasema pin yako ni siri yako. So we are being told to make sure don't give your pin to someone else, and also teaching the customers and the masses using the local dialect, because not everyone maybe is understanding what you're saying in English. But if you reach to the customer's level, you can be able to get ensure that you have been able to conduct the public awareness campaign well. The other one is SMS fraud prevention tips. It's part of the fraud awareness and customer education. We are going to receive texts from banks, from fintechs, from telcos, telling you that the only number that should be contacting you and say that they are from this company is this number and this number. If this number contacts you, this is not our number. You should actually report it for it to be followed up. The other one is to also educate the masses on the consequences of fraud. I believe not everyone knows that if you do this and this is what is going to happen to you. Not everyone knows that if you do the M-Pesa reversal scam, that you're going to face this number of years in jail. So, but if we educate the masses on the consequences of fraud, we are going to reduce the number of fraud cases that we are going to be seeing. The other one is automated fraud prevention tools. As I mentioned, we have AI-powered fraud detections for SACCOs and also microfinance institutions, where we are going to use AI models to predict loan defaulters and fraudsters applying with fake documents. Fake documents, how we are going to work around with fake documents. So we are going to impose KYC checks, whereby you are going to, when the customer is registering, they say, my name is Beatrice Joy Ngumo. What else can you be able to bring to be able to support that you are who you perceive you are? Are you the Beatrice? So I need to forward my ID, the photo of my ID number, and also my photo. So if I share my photo, the photo on my ID and the selfie that I took and shared with the company, they're going to check, is it a match? If it's a match, then the application should go through. The other one is blacklist fraudulent phone numbers and bank accounts. Telcos and financial institutions should maintain and share a fraud watch list. I think I mentioned this during fraud intelligence sharing between banks, fintech, and regulators. Also, graph analysis for mobile loan fraud. So it identifies repeated use of the same phone number or ID for different loan application, and you can actually pause the application or reject the application. That's it for the fraud prevention strategies. Anyone having a question? Okay, let me go to the next slide. So we've already covered fraud and risk analysis. So let's get into forensic analysis. How can we use forensic analysis in fraud investigation? Let me just give this opportunity for someone to just tell me what is forensic analysis and what do they, when we mention forensic analysis, what do they think of it?
Anyone? I'm sure this is not like the first time.
Hearing forensic analysis. It's the same forensic analysis you learned in school.
I'll go ahead and say there's no wrong answer.
There's no wrong answer. The same forensic analysis that you are doing in network, mobile, computers, it's the same forensic analysis you're going to be covering. Anyone?
I think it's searching for evidence against crimes to answer some questions. Sorry, I'm saying I think it's looking for evidence against crimes that are rising up.
Yeah, I'm actually very correct. So forensic analysis is investigating digital evidence to uncover fraudulent activities. This is in the aspect of fraud, but also forensic analysis is trying to look for the different, you're trying to get the different pieces from a crime scene to be able to form what really happened. So the role of digital forensic in fraud cases is to investigate digital evidence to uncover fraudulent activities. So we have the different steps in conducting forensic investigation. I won't cover it in depth. However, I'm going to cover it in fraud investigation. So one, we have collecting and preserving digital evidence. In this case, digital evidence will be in different formats. We'll have mobile money transactions, we'll have bank transaction histories, we'll be having hard drives, mobile devices, and etc. So in mobile transactions, we are going to be securing mobile money transaction logs, which is, for example, M-Pesa statements. For example, currently in Kenya, when you are defrauded using the M-Pesa reversal scam, when you go to report to the police station, they're going to tell you where's the M-Pesa statement to back your claims. So with that, you're going to write an email to probably or request Safaricom to give you the M-Pesa statements. They're going to stamp it for you to approve that these are original statements, they haven't been cooked, and then you're going to take them to the police station. When you take them to the police station will assist in case documentation and filing, probably look for the suspect, and then help in arraigning the suspect in court. The other one is capture bank transaction histories for unusual activity. As I said in the beginning, no one will want to wake up sleeping knowing they had a million bob in their account, but waking up to just 10 bob Kenya shillings. So you will capture the bank transaction histories. You can request the bank, or you can maybe check the app and use it to take it to the relevant authorities who are going to help you in case filing and arraigning of the suspects in court. The other one is cloning hard drives or mobile devices to recover deleted files, call logs, and SMS messages. This handling this data is actually very delicate because we know how volatile, especially data which has been stored in mobile devices is. So for hard drives, we need to make sure that don't work on the original copy. So you don't work on the original evidence. So you need to create a forensic image, which is a bit by bit copy of the whole hard drive, store it and use it to analyze the image and get to see the logs that were currently happening. Maybe you can see this will apply in areas whereby we've already been able to arrest the suspect and you've taken the hard drives and the mobile devices to the National Forensic Lab, where they're going to get the image from the main drive that was seized from the suspect, get to see the logs, provide a forensic report, and share it with the relevant authorities for case filing. So clone hard drives and mobile devices to recover all deleted files, call logs, and SMS messages. One thing is maintain chain of custody to ensure evidence integrity in court. Chain of custody means if I am the one who recovered the phone, and once I recovered the phone, I gave Hope Helen. After I gave Hope Helen, I gave Martin, etc. So we should have a form that is indicating the transfer of the devices between the different parties, and when it reached to the National Forensic Lab. This will ensure device evidence integrity, and we can be able to, if evidence has been tampered, we can be able to look back who tampered with actually the device. So that is one of the steps for collecting and preserving digital evidence. The other one is examining logs and transaction records. So we should analyzing of USSD logs to detect unauthorized money transfers, check IP addresses and device fingerprints to uncover fraud rings, use graph analytics to map relationships between fraudsters. So this will involve a lot of data analytics and data science. So you have this piece of data and this piece of data. How do they interact with each other, and how can you use the two to form a story, and how can you be able to form a case using the different types of data that you have. Lastly is report findings and supporting legal actions. So you should the National Forensic Lab will compile forensic reports that align with CBK, CAK, and DCI cybercrime regulations. They will prevent the digital evidence in court to assist in prosecutions as expert witnesses. They will work with financial crime units such DCI, ESCC, KRA, Banking Fraud Investigation Unit to ensure enforcement. Anyone having a question on the forensic analysis?
Beatrice,
Yes.
have you yourself I think in terms of your career, have you found yourself defending, say, supporting legal actions, for example, going to a court and probably providing evidence,
Yes, I
saying that
have.
this is what really happened? Okay.
Yes, I have been able to present technical findings as an expert witness.
Okay, and do you think like the bench in Kenya, say the judicial side of the arm of the government? Is it really competent in terms of understanding what really happened, the technical terms, or do we have a court where I don't know? Do they really understand what usually happens?
Yes, I'll say yes, no. So you'll find most people are familiar with the different laws. I'll show you the different laws that are governing around fraud and cyber fraud and everything. So if you get someone or a prosecutor or a lawyer who is familiar with cyber fraud or this whole financial fraud, the better. But from my own analysis, not most people are familiar with what is happening. Plus, the laws they keep on changing, and the fraudulent activities keep on changing. Fraud is emerging every now and then. So the fraud that was seen back then in 2018 does not even apply currently in 2025. So it's a yes or no. There are people who are familiar with it, but others are not. On the question if the judicial is competent, I will say yes or no. You won't lack these people who have been corrupt. Someone is maybe the magistrate will be bribed in the case yako inakunywa maji, or you forget, or probably the investigators or the police officers, they don't have enough technology to help in nabbing these malicious actors. So you can find, like, for example, the reversal scams. M-Pesa reversal scam. You send money to someone, the wrong recipient, they just wanaingia mitini. Either someone turns off their phone, they chew their SIM card, they throw it away, and you can no longer find them again. Or people are using identity theft. I steal your identity theft. I steal your national ID. I register an account. I do all fraudulent activities. When they're trying to follow up, they're going to see Beatrice is the one who conducted the fraud. But when they're trying to link Beatrice to the scene, they can't find any linkage. They can't find any link to the scene. So we have a lot of challenges in the field, but let me say, as the challenges come, the solutions also come with the power and the help of the AI and the different forensic tools that we can be able to use to get data. We can be able to nab these hackers. So we can be able to nab these malicious actors.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other question? Okay, so let's jump into what are the legal and regulatory frameworks currently in Kenya. So we have the different anti-fraud laws in Kenya. We have the Anti-Corruption and Economics Crime Act, which governs corruption cases. We have Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Act 2009, which focuses on money laundering. We have the Computer Misuse and Cyber Crimes Act. I believe this is covering most of us, which covers cyber fraud. You can all find these laws online. You can search it on the internet. You can be able to go through it to be able to understand how do these laws govern corruption cases. These corruption cases that we are keeping on crying about, this maybe this minister, this PS did this and this. How can we be able to handle the corruption cases? So we have the different government agencies which are involved in fraud investigation. The main one is EACC. I believe everyone knows about EACC, which is the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, which investigates the public sector fraud. We have the DCI, the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, especially the Cyber Crime Unit, which will handle the cyber fraud. They will handle the digital forensic, they will handle in providing forensic reports, they will handle in going to court to present the technical findings as expert witness, etc. The other one we have FRC, which is a financial reporting center, which monitors money laundering activities. And the last one we have Assets Recovery Agency, ARA, which seizes proceeds from crime. Anyone having a question here on the legal and regulatory framework in Kenya? Excuse me, I'm actually a Kikuyu, so I'm really struggling to pronounce regulatory. Anyone having a question?
A question, Joy.
Yes.
So just picking up on the previous question and adding on to this one, is there a time like these laws contradict, let's say when you're presenting something to a court, would you find that one law kind of contradicts another, or do they all add up and complement each other? Yeah.
Yeah, so laws, they can complement each other, but it's rare for a law to contradict each another. The only thing can happen is the person who is handling your case quotes the law, the wrong charge. So in the Computer Misuse and maybe Cybercrimes Act, we have the different charges that you can be able to charge the suspect. So instead of charging the suspect with the correct charge according to the crime they have conducted, you charge them with the wrong one, then the case is actually itakunywa tu maji. Because you can't be able to prove that they actually did this and this. Remember, this person is innocent until proven guilty. So you need to get all the evidence required for this person to be able to be arraigned, convicted in court.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, James?
As a forensic analyst,
Yes.
do you have to go through these regulations and know maybe a bit about what they do?
Not okay. You actually do have, because how will you know what you're looking for if you're not familiar with it? But you don't have to learn it. It doesn't have to be on your fingertips. Like I said, internet is there. You can actually, there's also this book about the Constitution of Kenya and the different laws in Kenya. You can always refer to these books. So being familiar with the main acts in the maybe computer, if you're venturing into the cyber fraud, be familiar with the different charges in the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act. If you're going to money laundering, go to the Act about Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Act, but it doesn't have to be in your fingertips. You can always refer to the internet. I hope I've answered your question, James.
Yes, thank you.
Another hand was up. Hope, can you assist me?
Yeah, I also saw a hand, but I can't remember the name.
Oh, no problem.
So I'll assume the hand went down because their question was answered too.
Okay, no problem. In case they still want to have a question, we have the session is still rolling. So let's go to what are the career opportunities in fraud and forensic analysis. Let's start. Who is hiring? We have banks and financial institutions. For banks and financial institutions, the big banks, even the banks which are coming up, we have KCB, we have Equity, we have Safaricom, M-Pesa, we have Cooperative Bank, etc. So for government and regulatory bodies, we have EACC, we have KRA, we have CBK, we have FRC. For auditing and consulting firms, we have the big auditing firms. We have PwC, we have Deloitte, we have EY, we have KPMG, etc. For fintech, telecom, and insurance companies, let me start with our company. We have M-Kopa, we have Tala, we have Branch, Safaricom, Jubilee, etc. There are a lot. So we have different people who are hiring for fraud and forensic analysts, for fraud and forensic analysis. For entry-level job roles, we can become a fraud analyst, where you'll be dealing in investigating suspicious accounts. Investigating accounts, not only does it limit you to interacting with transactions, you can also even have a call with the customer to get to understand how are they defrauded. And also from the data that you're getting from the customer, you can be able to prove, is it true they were defrauded? Is the customer actually the victim or the suspect? Because we have instances whereby the customer is the suspect who is defrauding other customers. So you need to do your investigation and do your reporting to help in case filing and documentation of the case. You can also become a forensic accountant, where you'll deal with analyzing financial records for fraud. You can become a cybercrime investigator, where you track digital fraud and hacking cases. You can also become a risk and compliance analyst, where you ensure regulatory compliance. That's it from the career opportunities. Anyone having a question? Yes, Kelvin.
Kelvin, yeah. Kelvin, feel free to unmute. As Kelvin figured that out, I'm expecting a lot of questions here, especially from Cyber Shuja students. Come on, guys.
Maybe hope I can just continue with the other slides and we'll have a room for more questions. Yes, James.
What are some of maybe certifications that would really help somebody to learn, okay, to be good at these roles? Something that you've seen is kind of industry expected for you to take.
Good question. Actually, I'm going to cover that in the next slide. So let's look at the skills required for the fraud and forensic analysis jobs currently in Kenya. So we have the technical skills. For the technical skills, we have digital forensics and cybercrime investigation. So for a minute. So apologies for that. So for digital forensics and cybercrime investigation, you need to have knowledge on mobile forensics, network forensics, computer forensics. Remember, we covered how you need to, if you recover a suspect's hard drive or mobile phone, you need to get the logs, you need to clone the hard drive, you need to clone the mobile phone. Always remember, don't work on the original evidence to avoid tampering of the evidence. So you need to have knowledge in mobile forensics and computer forensics and network forensics. You should also have the ability to recover deleted data. Analyze digital footprints, and extract evidence. This will help for you all. Currently, right now, I can say it's easy for you to conduct the different forensic analysis because of the tools that have popped up, which are currently open source. We have tools like Autopsy. Autopsy is actually free. We have FTK. Autopsy, you use it in forensic analysis. You have FTK, which are going to use it in creating the image of the hard drive, of the SSD, of the flash disk, etc. We have Ncase, we have Celebrite, which is mainly used in mobile forensic, and etc. So we have different tools that you need to be familiar with to be able to conduct mobile forensics, computer forensics, and also network forensics. The other one is data analytics and fraud detection. So you need to be familiar with or be proficient in SQL, because probably you'll be writing different codes to pull data. You need to have Python. Python will really assist you in automating the different tasks. You need to also maybe have proficiency in R for data analysis. We have also Excel. You can use Excel. You can use Power BI. We can use Looker, etc. So there are different data analytics tools that you need to be proficient in to be able to nail it in the fraud and forensic analysis job. You also need to probably be experienced. I've mentioned Power BI, Tableau, and also Excel for fraud visualization. The other one is investigative skills and legal skills. I think I've skipped on network security and ethical hacking. Let me touch on it. So for network security and ethical hacking, you need to be familiar with familiarity in penetration testing, intrusion detection system, and firewall analysis. Have knowledge of network traffic analysis to detect phishing scams and also unauthorized access. So on analysis, on the data analytics, I think I mentioned something about KYC. So we have financial fraud analysis. You need to maybe, if you're venturing into money laundering, you need to have a good understanding of how money laundering works, how mobile money works, and how banking fraud works. Have some knowledge of anti-money laundering, know your customer, fraud risk assessment, and also have an experience in transaction monitoring for SACCOs, banks, finance institution, lenders, etc. So this is going to really help you in a job. So the other one is investigative and legal skills. Actually, I love this part, whereby you're trying to interact with the customer. Probably already know what really happened, but you'll hear someone who is trying to just lie to you, but you're just wondering, why are you lying to me? And I already know what really happened. So we have fraud investigation and evidence gathering. So have the ability to conduct background checks for fraud suspects, have experience working, be familiar with how the police the judicial system works, have knowledge in forensic auditing and internal controls to prevent insider fraud. So you have familiar with, if you're based in Kenya, have Kenyan financial and cybercrime laws, have understanding of CBK regulations. Remember, you can always look at it on the internet. Understanding of CBK regulations, proceeds of crime and anti-money laundering act and data protection act. Also have familiarity with, if you're going to forensic accounting, have familiarity with KRA tax evasion and banking fraud investigation unit. Case reporting and courtroom testimony, have the ability to document forensic findings in reports admissible in court. Probably, I highly recommend you have a certification, because if the suspect is having a lawyer, they are going to question your credibility. Have this in check. Make sure that when you're explaining your report, make sure you explain it in layman language, because if you explain it in very technical way, it's going to be hard for the magistrate to be able, or the court to be able to understand what is really happening and to be able to prove that this person actually conducted the fraud. The other one is, let's now cover the certifications and qualifications. So the relevant degrees, we have bachelor's in forensic science, we have finance, computer science, cybersecurity, or even law. For professional certifications, mainly people request for the Certified Fraud Examiner, CFE. We have CISA, we have Certified Anti-Money Laundering Specialist, especially if you're venturing into money laundering. We have CEH by EC Council. We have other digital forensic certifications. We have CHFI and etc. So these are the different certifications and qualifications you'll need for fraud and forensic analysis jobs in Kenya. So with that, thank you for joining this session. That's it for fraud and forensic analysis. I'll take this opportunity to take in questions and comments.
Well, thank you so much, Joy. Let's just react with applause and appreciate. Thank you so much. So let us have some questions.
Yes, Anne.
Hi, Joy.
Hi, Anne.
So for the certifications and to be able to get an entry-level job, do you have to have most of them, or just one, or just the degree? Which is it?
No, so it will depend which role you want to get into. So if it's a role which is a high role, you'll definitely, probably the company will request you to have the certification. However, it's not a must for you to have the certification. Just try your luck. If you believe in your technical skills and you believe you can ace in the job, I always tell people, just apply. Even if you don't tick everything in the job description, you just apply. You probably will be the best person who has applied with the best CV. So no, for entry-level jobs, most entry-level jobs, it's not a must. They might include it as a requirement, but no, it's not a must. You can easily take up the job and tell them after you take up the job, you're going to start studying for this. You're going to enroll for the certification and start doing it before even the year ends, and provide them with the certification if it's needed to go in court.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
A question, Joy,
Yes.
just to add to that one. So let's say someone hasn't been able to work in this field and wants to start off. First question is, what are the how do I put it? Like networks. Are there groups they can join that have professionals in this specifically? Also, it was my other question, how can they demonstrate their skills even if they're not in a place of work? So projects they can work on or different things they can post on LinkedIn to show interest and showcase their skills.
Okay, so let me start with the different groups maybe you can join. For now, honestly, I am not familiar with any groups that are currently working around financial fraud or something, but they are usually conferences that are usually held. They're usually posted either on social media or either on LinkedIn. You can attend these conferences. Most of them, they are usually free. When you attend these conferences, you're going to link. You can even link with someone who is going to employ you. So attending these conferences, you're going to network with the different individuals who maybe can help you in securing your next role for fraud and forensic analysis. I hope I've answered your question. Hope, your first question.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so the other question was what they should expect in the interview or what should they work on, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'd encouraged for actually when I got this role, I got it through LinkedIn, and I'd encourage you to build a strong LinkedIn profile, gain certifications. If you don't have the money to be able to maybe, because the certifications usually cost an arm and a leg. If you don't have the financial strength to be able to conduct these certifications, the CFE, CPA, CHFI, etc., you're currently in Cyber Shuja. This is actually a good role. You posting on LinkedIn and stating that you have this you have this interest in financial fraud, in fraud and forensic analysis. Your next employer can be able to see that. So gain certifications, get internship. They usually post. There are usually internships posted on fraud and forensic analyst jobs. Get internships. Volunteer in NGOs, in ESCC. I don't know if ESCC allow volunteering. So you can volunteer in different organizations, participate in cybersecurity and fraud case competitions. I am not aware of any fraud case competitions, but I am aware of cybersecurity competitions. Develop a portfolio of data-driven fraud analysis projects. So it's you can, if you are familiar with, if you are good in data analytics, you can just, I usually see people having having a portfolio of analyzing data for people who shop at this time and this time and this time. So you can have all this data and have it in a portfolio, which you can share during your job application. Other things you can do during your interview, maybe they are going to give you a technical they're going to give you a technical assessment, probably give you a list of fraudulent data and tell you what can you be able to see from this data. Remember, if you are working with a data of 1 million customers, another question you might face is how can you be able to make it easier for you to detect fraud? So be familiar with how you can be able to automate things. That's why I indicated that you should have at least some skills in Python to help you in automation, data analytics to be able to identify any anomalies that indicate that it's fraudulent or suspicious. Also have information about forensic tools. For me, I used to write, what's it called? Articles about forensic analysis, about digital forensic. What do you see on digital forensic? Remember, these tools are open source. FTK is open source. Autopsy is open source. You can even get labs that you can be able to simulate the attacks, be able to get the forensic logs, be able to analyze all of that. Just document it, put it as an article. You can use let me remember this site that we usually use. I've forgotten a site that we usually post our article, but I can share it once I remember it. But these are the different ways which can make you stand out in a job interview.
Well answered. I think the site is Medium.
Yeah, it's called Medium. Thank you for that, Hope.
Okay. Thank you so much. Well answered. Yes, Cynthia, go ahead.
So hi, my question is on digital forensics, like the tools that you use.
Yes. Yeah.
In your experience this far, are there tools that you can term as effective when it comes to doing your searches and such?
Yeah, so currently I have used both open source and proprietary tools. I still love the open source tools. I feel like they're still giving me what I'd request. The only challenge currently I'm facing is probably you can find data has been encrypted. You need to have a tool that can be able to encrypt for you the data for you to be able to analyze it. However, the main challenge I can state also is the licensing fees are quite high. Probably you'll buy the product for 12 million Kenya shillings and you need to pay the license fee for 1 million Kenya shillings per year. You need to be renewing the license for 1 million Kenya shillings for you to be able to use the tool. However, if you want to try out, I usually recommend, if you want to try out in imaging, use FTK. FTK, everyone talks about FTK. Everyone knows, even the proprietary salesmen for the different forensic tools. They'll tell you, have you used FTK? Because they believe FTK is the tool that you should be able to. It's the easiest tool that you can be able to use. And once you learn how to use these tools, it's so easy for you. So we have FTK, we have Autopsy. Autopsy is also free. We have Magnet Axiom, Celebrate for mobile forensic. But one thing I'll state is the proprietary tools are quite pricey, very pricey.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Joy. I'll take one last question. If there's any last question before we bring the meeting to a close. Going once, twice. Okay. So, Joy, you can just give your last remarks and then I can end the session.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining. Hope you had a good session. In case of anything, you can just reach out to me to my email at joyngumo@gmail.com. Thank you everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much, Joy. It goes without saying just how informative. Yes, Dennis, go ahead. I see your hand is up.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, thought you wanted to help with the last remarks. So we can all say like how informative the whole session was. Thank you so much. I'd like to request you share the slides, and if you could add the specific tools to the slides for the students, we'd really appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you. So thank you everyone for joining. Again, pardon? Okay. So thank you everyone for joining this Thursday. The recording is usually up on YouTube by Monday in the Cyber Shuja page. So if you just search Cyber Shuja, you'll see the latest recordings. So thank you, Joy, for your time. Thank you for going above and beyond in even explaining and just taking in questions and even like hand-holding us through each and every place. A lot of it is new knowledge. I always advise after this, take some time to just internalize. I hope you are writing things down somewhere and feel free to explore. The good thing about tech, it's not fit into a box or it's not confined to a specific area. Feel free to download the tools Joy was talking about. Feel free to read on different forensic cases we've had in the country, question people on different forums, also like search people who are doing forensics in the country, and above all, connect with Joy on LinkedIn. So thank you and have a good night, everyone. See you next Thursday.